Hi everyone, this is Kellyanne with Church Windows. I am the presenter for today's user group, which will look at how to handle membership and donation adjustments for a divorce. So let me go ahead and get rid of the presentation on screen. Hopefully if you're new to using GoToWebinar, you were watching that, had some pointers about using that GoToWebinar toolbar. Let me go ahead and bring up Church Windows here and show my screen again. Today, while I'm showing you adjustments for divorce in both membership and donations, if you have questions, you might want to hold off to the end of the user group. They may be answered as we move along through the material. However, if you have a question while I'm showing things, Ross is also in the room with us. And if you open up the question panel on your GoToWebinar toolbar, you can type your questions in there and Ross will answer those. At the end of what I would like to show you, I'll open the floor for more questions, and those I will just read out loud and answer for everyone. So let's go ahead and dive on in real quick. On the opening screen of Church Windows, I want to point out upper right hand corner. Let me get my spotlight or highlighter here. Oops. Except when I get my highlighter, it moved away from membership. Let me try this again. GoToWebinar is not doing what I want. Let me close membership. I want to do that to save time, but it's not letting me highlight what I want to show you here. So we'll close it. Upper right hand corner, notice we are on version 18.15.3. That is the most current version of the program. So if you're on an older version, what you see today may differ slightly from the most current version, or what you're going to see right now on the screen. The member and visitor, household, and individual records, those have not really changed in any drastic way. However, donations might look a little different if you're still using the older contribution module. So again, just a reminder, this is being shown today on the most current version of the program, 18.15.3. If you're not on the most current version and you have questions, definitely give us a call and we can talk to you about updating. All right, so let's go ahead and look in membership. The circumstance here we're talking about is divorce. Unfortunately, sometimes members will divorce. And in that case, there's several things you may or may not need to do with that household. First, you really want to find out from that couple, now that they're splitting up, if there's children, whose house they're primarily staying in, and then how each of those individuals who were a couple and are now splitting up, how they would like their mail addressed, and if they are donors and they share an envelope and they have everything on one statement, how they want that split up, or if they want that statement just sent to one of them and then from there on out giving split up. Same thing with if they have a pledge. We can't answer those questions for you, but once you know how they want their mail addressed, how they want giving split up if they want it split up, how they want statements sent, envelope numbers and pledging, how they want to deal with that, we can help you split things up if they need money split up or envelopes assigned to one and a new to another and pledge assigned to one rather than the other. Once you find that out, we can help you do that within the program. Let's talk about in membership. Let's go ahead and go into members. Let's just look at the first family here, Bob and Renee Jones. Unfortunately, they're divorcing. So Renee is staying at 132 Main Street with all of the children, and Bob or Robert, he is moving out. So we want to move him out, we want to click on his name over on the left side of the screen, and then we need to click anywhere on the right side on the individual record. That's what tells the system that we're moving just this individual out, because the individual side is what's highlighted. So we can click on options, excuse me, and then transfer individual. And this brings up a screen where we can see Bob is highlighted. Now, if we wanted to transform more people out, we could hold our control key down and highlight those people. But we're just going to move Bob out of the house. It's already defaulting to move him to a new family, meaning it will create a family record and then an individual record for Bob. We are, for today, I'm going to say we don't have Bob's new address yet. We just know he's moving out. So we need to at least put in a mailing label. He did tell us he would like his mail to go to Mr. Robert Jones. So we need to at least type in the mailing label field. And now we can click OK. Oops, wait a minute. Before I do this, I wanted to point out one thing. It went right in and out of my head a little bit ago, and I couldn't remember what I wanted to show you. Notice here in this situation, Bob has an envelope number. Let me highlight that in case you're not familiar with where that is on the screen. So upper right here, we see he has giver number 30. Now, if we click on Renee, let me get my clicking tool back. We see she does not have a giver number, so we don't have to decide who gets the giver number. We've talked to them, and it's going to move with Bob, and we can give Renee a new one. So let's go ahead and go back up here, and we'll go to Options and Transfer Individual. Now, if Bob decided since he's divorcing, he's no longer going to be a member of the church, but he might visit every once in a while, we could choose to transfer him over to the visitor file. If we choose Transfer Individual, which I'm going to do, that's just going to transfer him to a new record in the member database. So let's go ahead and type in Mr. Robert Jones, because that's how he said he'd like his mail addressed. We can click OK. Notice now on this list and in the family record behind that, we only see Renee and the children, and it tells us the transfer is completed successfully, so we can click OK. Now we're going to come back to this record. I want to show you Mr. Jones's record. He is now the last record in my member database since I moved him out of this house. So what I can do, I could click Find to find him, or even easier, I can right-click on Next. Right-clicking on the Next button takes me to the last record, which is Mr. Robert Jones. So once I get his address, I can go ahead and fill in that information. But I want to take a look over at his personal information because there's some things here I probably want to change now that he's divorced. Family relation, he's no longer a husband, so we can find the best family relation I have here. Now, family relation is a field you set up, so you can create whatever family relation codes and descriptions are best for your church. Excuse me, we will mark him a single parent. Also, we need to take a look at directory report order. He was primary and the husband of the family, so we don't need to change that for him. As we look down the record, we see there is a marriage date. I'm going to go ahead and copy that and remove it. I could just take it off if I don't need to retain that. Maybe you want to retain that, though. I could click on the comments up at the top and put his marriage date here. And then maybe even divorced in May 2016. Save that. Now I can go back to the personal individual record by clicking the little person at the top. We also see his marital status is married. Now, some of these fields you may or may not have or use because you can create your own fields for individual records. So some of what I'm showing you, you may not use on your records and may not need to change. But that's why you want to take a look at each individual record and see which things apply to a married couple versus changing now his marital status to divorced. And if I look, I don't see anything else I need to change here, so I'll go ahead and save Mr. Robert Jones's new record. Because I know the Jones family is the first record in my database, I can right-click on the prior button, and that will take me to the Jones family, or I could do a find and look for them. I've talked with Renee, and she would like her mail to be addressed to Ms. Renee, whoops, 2 E's, not 2 N's, Ms. Renee Jones. So I can change her mailing label in the upper left. The title here in the upper right, I probably want to change that from Mrs. to Ms. And now I need to look at her personal information and see what I need to change here. Family relation, she is no longer a wife. We could mark her a parent or a single parent, whatever family relation you feel best fits. Include on directory is set to yes. However, her directory report order was secondary because her husband was primary. Now that we've moved him out of the house, there's no longer a primary directory report order. If that is ever the case, no one in this family will print on the directory. You always have to have a primary directory report order. So we'll go ahead and change Renee to primary, as she is now the primary person for the directory. If we look down the rest of her record, we need to remove her marriage date. So we can copy that with Control C and then remove it, Control X. So we can put the marriage date there and maybe even put a note that they divorced in May of 2016. Save that. And I can click back on my little person icon along the top to get back to the individual record. She's no longer married, so I can change her married status or marital status to divorced. And looking at the rest of the fields, there's nothing else I need to change. So now I can save that. So I've edited both of I've moved him out, edited both their mailing labels and individual records to change anything that reflected being married to now being single, change the directory report order so Renee will show in the directory. Now if you look along the left, we see Renee is listed as number 2 still. Since there is no longer a number 1 person in here, if I close out, close membership. Now if I go back into membership and bring up that Jones family, we see that what happened? It did not work. It worked at my desk. It should have moved Renee back up to being number 1. Let me try something real quick. I don't know why that did not change it to 1. Let's just try real quick doing a repair and compact. That kind of refreshes things. So I went into admin and support functions. Click on repair and compact. Kind of refreshes and merges everything. Close search windows and go back in. Wait for it to open. And now if I go into membership and click on members. Oh, she's still number 2. Let me try a reorder. I'm not sure why this didn't work. It worked at my desk. So we'll move her to 2, say OK. We'll trick it into working. Reorder again. There we go. Move her back up to 1, say OK. And now we see Renee Jones has a number 1 beside her. We have 5 individuals in the family. Sorry about that. All right. So we see now Renee has no number. If she would like an envelope number, oh, thank you. Dale told me I think you need to click the reorder button. I think I may have done that at my desk this morning too. So my memory wasn't working there very well. We talked to Renee and she said she would like an envelope number. So we can assign that right here in the membership module by clicking the little number sign just to the right of the giver number field. This brings up the Manage Numbers screen, which if you would prefer to go to donations, you can go to the Manage Numbers screen and find Renee, and you'll do exactly what I'm doing here, except when you go into donations, you see everyone with a number. When we do it through membership, it only brings Renee up on the Manage Numbers screen because we were right on her record. So here to the right of where we see her name in the upper left, we can click the Add New button, enter in the new number we'd like her to have. We're going to go ahead and leave that as starting on 1/1/2016, but we could change it to a different date if we'd like. We'll just click OK. And now we see Ms. Renee Jones has number 123. If we close this, we now see that on her record as well. Now let's take a look at another family real quick. Find the Albrecht family. There we go. There's Susan. Susan and Bill, if we look on Bill's individual record, we see upper right, highlight it. He has a giver number 64. And then if we click over on the left on Susan and look upper right, we see she also has envelope 64. They share that number. So first you want to find out if a family shares the number, who's going to keep that number? Are they going to keep all the giving or are they going to split up the giving for the statement? And what you do with the statement and what you do in donations will really depend on the answers to those questions. We're going to go ahead and move Bill out. He's decided he's going to let Susan keep the envelope number, and he's going to also let her claim and use the giving statement. So let's go ahead and first we'll move Bill out by going to options, and let's just move him to the visitor file just so you can see that. So he said he's no longer going to be a member of the church. If I choose transfer to visitor file, notice here I have the option to transfer the entire family or only a selected individual. Because we're only moving Bill out, we want to choose only selected individual, and then I'll highlight Bill, and we need to put in at least his mailing label name. So we'll put Mr. Bill Albrecht. If I had his address, I could fill all that in right now. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And transfer is completed successfully, so we can say OK here. Now, since we're right on Susan's record, we could go ahead and change things if we needed to. The only thing it looks like, well, two things we can change here is the family relation. We can just make her, let's see, an adult because she's not a parent. She's not a single parent, so we'll just say adult for Ms. Albrecht. Directory report order, we need to change her to primary, so she will show up in the directory. And then we can go ahead and click save to save this. Oops, and looking just under the save, we also want to change her mailing label. Now I want to show you something real quick. Right now, if I were to go into donations without changing that mailing label and look at pledges, I know already from playing around, if we go to our 2016 pledge, we see Mr. and Mrs. William Albrecht have a pledge together because they used the family, they gave as a family. So we see their pledge listed as Mr. and Mrs. William Albrecht. Now let me go, whoops, get my clicking tool back here and go back to membership. I'm going to go ahead and change her name to Ms. Susan, whoops. We'll say she's going back to her maiden name. I can't type today. Miss Susan Smith, so we'll save that. We'll go ahead and go over and change the last name on the individual record as well and save that. We now see it says Smith on her record consistently. Now if I go back to donations, we still see Albrecht. Let me close pledges and reopen it. If I have that screen open, then it's not going to see the change until I close it and open it back up to refresh it. But now if we take a look, it's refreshed to show the pledge now belongs to Ms. Susan Smith. And it is pulling that name from the mailing label because she is still marked Gives with Family, because she and her husband did give together before they divorced. So, let me show you real quick here. What I can do is click the little number sign here. Oops, and I think I have to go do this in donations. So we bring donations back up. I can go into Manage Givers and find Ms. Smith. And now I can click on the Giver Number tab and uncheck Gives with Family. It tells me it's going to end the family giver number for 64, but I can click Yes to assign all the pledges belonging to the family to Susan, which I would like to do, so I can say yes. And we see Susan no longer has the number because it ended it as a family number. But what I can do now is I find it easier to go into Manage Numbers. And I can look for Susan. Now we see Ms. Susan Smith, but that was her number when she gave as a family, and we see it ended today because I unchecked gives with family. What I can do is choose Susan Smith individual, and now I can click add new and give her envelope 64 with a start date of 5/6/2016, and then click OK. Or if you'd prefer for her to have that for the whole year, I'm going to go ahead and click filter by selected giver. I may have found a bug. That's odd. It's not showing her there. Let me try that again. So let's find Susan. We'll click on envelope 64. Here we go. Actually, I think I've been clicking too many little things here. Let me click on past and current. And then let's just scroll down to Smith. Or 64. Oh, I know it's wrong. I need to check future because her new number's in the future. Trying to show you too much all in 20 minutes. All right, so here we have Susan Smith. We see her new number starts tomorrow, and the old number. Now, if we wanted that to start on 1/1, we could put the family number as ending on December 31st, and that would then let us change her number as just a single person to start on 1/1/16. All right, I apologize. I talk too much. We are at 11:21, so if you need to exit the room, just click the little X on your GoToWebinar toolbar. I do want to show you really quickly one more screen in donations. There may be some people that want to split their money up. Some people, one person wants part of it, one wants the other. What we can do in that case is go up to Givers and Transfer Donations. Oh, and I got an error. Oh, and it let me click through it. So let's just find Bob and Renee. Some of what they gave, everything was going to Bob, but some of that money Renee would like a statement for. So if we go to Transfer Donations, we can find the individuals. On the left, we'd find the person we're taking the money away from. If you notice, there's a little checkbox here at the beginning of each line. What you can do is click Unselect All, check off the gifts that should be going to the person on the right, and then click Transfer Selected right in the middle. And it tells us it's going to reverse those and post them to the individual on the right. If I'm sure, I can say yes. Creates new transactions because it reverses them and re-enters them to Renee. And now we see Renee has those 3 donations, and they will show on a statement for her. If we needed to transfer money from prior years, we could change the date range here at the top. But there you go. In a nutshell, I'm sorry I went over our 20-minute time, but was a lot to show you, I think, there. Those are some of the basic things you'll want to do when a couple divorces. Make sure you check things on the records. Talk to them about giving and pledging and statements and numbers and who's keeping what. But again, we can't answer those questions for you, but once you know who's keeping what, we can help you perform those functions if you need to. Let me get a sip of coffee and then look at the questions here. All right. Someone said, what is the best way to show children in both families in the directory? Currently, I pick one household for all mailings and reports, but list them again under the other household for inclusion in the directory only. That's a great way to do it. Usually you list the children in the household where they reside primarily, but if you want them both to show in the directory under both parents, you can add them both. And I think we may have, let me look, I'll show you our blog real quick. I think there might be a document on cross-referencing children for a directory. So let me look up the keyword here, children and directory. Here you go. So yes, similar here, maybe not stepchildren, but there is a great document here on cross-referencing stepchildren in the directory. So you might want to take a look at that. I'm going to read this one out loud, even though Dale answered his own question. He missed adding comments to individual records. Let me show you real quick in case anybody else missed that. Comments on individual records. You can add comments to the household or individual record. And there's a little call out, or I call it cartoon bubble, up here at the top. Depending on which side of the records is active, that's what it's going to show you. So notice my individual side is active. If I click on comments, it's changing the individual side to show me comments. However, I could add comments for the family. So if I click on the family side and then click comments, then I can see the family comments. Then to get back to my household regular record, I just click on the little house. Same thing to get back to my individual record is just click on the little person at the top. Someone said, is it really necessary to change to individual giver? If there's only one member in the family, they technically are giving as a family. Well, the only difference when someone is marked gives with family, it pulls the name for their statement and any reports and donation from whatever is in their mailing label or their family record. So if they actually want their individual name, what's on the individual record, to print on their statement, that's where you would want to uncheck gives with family. Because gives with family uses the mailing label name versus a person not checked gives with family, it would use the actual individual record name. So yeah, if there's only one person in the family, you don't have to uncheck gives with family unless they specifically want their individual name to be how they're addressed. All right, other questions? Or did I just talk so much and show you so much you're overwhelmed? I think the membership part is pretty easy, pretty basic. And again, what you need to change on the records really depends on what custom fields you've created for the individual records. So there may be more things you need to change on the records than what I showed you today, or maybe a lot of the things we are showing on our church windows data, maybe you don't use those fields. But really just take a look at both sides and see what needs to change. When you get over to pledging and the giving and the envelope numbers, that's where it sometimes can get a little more complicated. But if you're ever in doubt and you need help, give us a call. All of our user groups, we do record those, and we do clean those up and standardize them with, I think, a Church Windows logo, and cut out some of the dead air at the beginning, because I always start the video a minute before we start. I think we're putting new videos up on our YouTube channel every Thursday, I think was the new decision. So if you weren't aware, we do have a YouTube channel where you can access all these free videos. If you just go to youtube.com and then up at the top here, search for Church Windows. Then you should find Church Windows software with our stained glass logo. And if you click on this, this shows all of the different videos that are available for free. Look at all of those. So all kinds of videos put up on our YouTube channel, and a lot of these are also added to our website. If you need to exit the room, please feel free. I just want to show you this. I don't see any more questions coming in. On our website, if you look under support, there's new version resources. And here we have a lot of videos as well. We put those on our website, but they're also on the YouTube channel. Also, if you weren't aware, I did show you the support blog just a moment ago. There's a lot of documents that you can print out or save on your computer, and free videos here as well. And these are searchable by module or keyword. Last thing I want to really quickly show you is if somebody else maybe signed you up for this webinar, under training you can click on free online webinars, and take a look for yourself at the different topics. We put up new topics every month. If you have a suggestion for a topic, feel free to call or email us your suggestions. But you can sign up for as many of these as you like. They're all free. Someone says it would be nice to have a field under directory report order showing the children listed in two families as being only a directory listing and not used for reports or mailings, similarly to primary and secondary separately for couples with two different last names. I can definitely add that to suggestions. So, and Ross said he could pass that along as well. All right. Any other questions? If you're in the middle of typing one, then go ahead and hit enter and then finish typing the rest. And that way I don't close the classroom before you get your question typed. All right, well, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in, so I want to thank you so much for attending today's user group. I hope you learned something new. If you have more questions or something specific to your data, give us a call or you can email us as well. Thanks again. Happy Cinco de Mayo. If you weren't aware, it's the 5th. And have a great day. Thanks again. Bye.